Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Hearthstone Major at PAX East, presented by One Nation of Gamers. My name is TJ. Once again, I am joined by That's Admirable. That's Admirable. What a doozy of a series. Sam Stock so close to taking out Amaz. What'd you think of that one? I want to get your thoughts.
Well, the first two games looked pretty normal. Sam Stock just kind of beat him up and had good draws, and then Dragon Warrior came out, and you kind of caught a glimpse of why Dragon Warrior has not been a big force in competitive play. Just falls a little bit short. A lot of the cards don't match up very well towards the later stages of the game versus, say, some Control Warrior mirrors, and just came up short on the damage. Had he played the Alex Straza earlier instead of the Grom, don't know exactly what would have happened, but was very aggressive in his attack, using resources a little bit recklessly, I would say, at times. But it did keep Amaz under some pressure. He had the right tools to dismantle the pressure, though, diffuse the situation, come back and take a nice clean win.
Yeah, so we'll be moving on to the round of 64, as well as many other players that we've seen throughout the day. Next match is going to be between Kolento from Cloud9 and Radlak, who we saw, I believe, take out Toaster earlier in the day. So Radlak coming off a win already today. Kolento's going to be coming in cold, but Kolento is no stranger to competitive play. One of the oldest and most decorated Hearthstone pros in the entire scene. He's going to be bringing Druid, Warlock, Warrior into this match with his Paladin band. And Radlak, once again, I'm going to be bringing Shaman, Warlock, and Warrior. His Freeze Mage, his Reno Freeze Mage has been banned away. Does that Mage ban let us know anything about Kolento's lineup? Does it give us any hints as to what Kolento could possibly bring? Because he has to know that this is Reno Freeze from watching Radlak earlier in the day.
Yeah, I'm curious exactly what that means for him. Maybe he's playing more of the mid-range warrior list at that point. Maybe he's got like a Zoo Warlock, and maybe he just doesn't want to play with it. Anticipated Druid getting banned or something, or maybe Warlock getting banned and having the Paladin kind of hanging out there. But he also could just be he doesn't want to play against Mage. I mean, Mage feels like one of those classes where they just get insane draws. It's hard to do something about sometimes. But I'm not quite sure if it gives too much away about his lineup. I'm kind of anticipating the mid-range warrior when I see that. But I did want to talk a little bit about Kolento and having a very decorated resume. Just in case you guys were wondering, over $100,000 lifetime in cashes. First place at Buy Game House Cup 1. First place at DreamHack versus Tice in the finals of that one, DreamHack Winter. He got first place in King Win for Charity 2015. Got first place in the China versus EU. Helped lead the EU team to a very clean victory over the Chinese team. First place at Gamers Assembly. First place at King Win Pro League. First place at WCA Europe Pro Qualifier, and then a sprinkling of top fours in that as well. I mean, when you say decorated resume, you are not kidding. This guy's been a force in competitive play for as long as it's existed.
Yeah, definitely an impressive player throughout the course of his career so far. Radlak throwing out the Warrior. I think, was this the deck that we didn't see earlier?
Yeah, we didn't see Radlak's Warrior. It was banned away, and okay. I believe it was banned away. Anyway, I don't recall seeing Arc Thief or Fob at any point prior to that. But at least Starseeker is going to be in his hand, as well as Bash, Deathbite, Brawl, that Archmage we were just talking about. The Supreme Archaeologist, as well as Dr. Boom just joined. And Kolento looks like he's bringing Reno Warlock, which is right up his alley. Kolento loves to play control decks.
Yeah, I've seen Arc Thief or Fob more times today than I've seen in my entire life prior to that. It feels we've seen like 5 of them already, but you can see Radlak looked a bit surprised by the fact that Kolento went ahead and life tapped on turn 2. I think Radlak was expecting a Zoo Warlock coming out, judging by the lineups, but it is going to be a Reno lock, it appears.
Yeah, I'm getting some running this Deathbite here. Fantastic answer to that card.
I would say so. Yeah, I'll agree.
This is where Kolento implosions his own imp.
Turns 1 imp.
What is he going to do to that 2 imps?
He's going to propagate that imp.
Yep. I was just about to say it. Bloodsail Corsair would have been mighty interesting in this Discover. Instead, he's left with Power Overwhelming and Voidwalker. Blood Imp is not part of this Discover. There's a 0% chance Kolento takes Blood Imp.
Shout out to my boy, the Blood Imp.
Holla back.
Yeah. Power Overwhelming seems like a good option here. Boardwalker can block attacks from Despite, which has merit, but Power Overwhelming I feel like has a lot more flexibility in the long run. It also opens you up to a better Shadow Flame target, should he have that in his deck, which he likely does. Allows you to turn a bad minion into a good minion with Shadow Flame. So,
sort of. It kind of just kills it. It turns it into no minion afterwards.
It turns into a good minion for a very short time.
And then it dies horribly.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. It doesn't have a chance to die horribly. It just dies normally. It gets ready to die horribly, and then it just dies normally.
I will say that Power Overwhelming is looking like an interesting option here, but if there's one thing I know from watching Kolento, it's that he looks for different ways to play the game very often, and I've been so surprised by him in the past. This play looks pretty standard so far this turn. I mean, the Power Overwhelming turns the imp into something, and it was discovered one. The mind control tech, a little bit interesting. I think that since he's seen Elise, he knows that Grim Patron's not going to be a factor in this match, so just get some stuff on board and start punching away.
Interesting options aren't enough for Kolento. He's looking for mind-blowing options.
Yeah, Radlak just going to go ahead and brawl here. He's behind the Zombie Chow. Got to be happy about that one.
Not going to find too much value out of Brawl in this matchup. I suppose later on. I wonder what version Kolento's actually running, though. If he's running a combo version or if he's running just like one of those value-oriented versions like we saw earlier with Jiraxis and without the combo. But he draws a natural Power Overwhelming, which leads me to believe that it is a combo version. It is a card that can be run without combo, but it's a lot less effective.
Yeah, combo does feel like something that Kolento definitely would bring. Is known for playing a lot of combo-oriented decks in the past, as well as control decks. They seem to be right up his alley. One of the first players to popularize Miracle Rogue. Kolento was kind of one of the first people to have a working version of Miracle Rogue. A lot of people had tried to use Gadgets and Auctioneer. Kolento had finally coupled it with 2 copies of Conceal and started cycling away. And that version really stuck for a long time, right up until they nerfed Leroy Jenkins.
Yeah, Kolento was the player that Miracle Rogue players at the time went to learn Miracle Rogue. So that should say a lot about him. And this deck from Radlak seems to, it is Control Warrior, but it seems to have a lot more minion heavy and board centric elements to it. He does have Elise Starseeker, but he also has a lot of these minions that you wouldn't normally expect. He does have Dr. Boom. He does have Paladin Shredder. He does have Archthief Rafam. So I like it. This version's pretty interesting, I'd say.
Definitely looking a little bit heavier. Kolento going to snag some pretty decent tempo, unless Radlak chooses to take 7, which he is going to. And honestly, I think it's worth it at this point. If Radlak had chose to bash his turn, he actually was getting no development on board, and that could have been a disaster for him at this stage. I mean, the last thing you want to be doing is, when you're playing Warrior and you get to these stages, is rather than just relying on all your removal to answer everything, you want to have minions be able to provide pressure for you. So that way, if you're answering stuff, you're actually making progress on your opponent's life total. It's a very important thing to be having. And while 7 is certainly a high life total to pay, I think it's totally worth it here.
Yeah. He also has knows he has a lot of that health gain. So he's going to be able to get that life total back up. And he should know that there's not a lot to... Well, there's potential for burst. He doesn't quite know what type of deck this is from Kolento yet, what type of Reno Warlock deck this is yet. So this play is interesting. He's got a lot of options here. He can start with Mortal Coil, or he could go in with the Hellfire play and use Implosion to clean up afterwards. But it looks like he's getting Implosion first. So, oh wow.
Don't mind this play at all. Get in your attacks.
Oh, I didn't see the Big Game Hunter. I'm just...
Oh, I was like, wow, you're really...
There's actually not many options in that play. Right.
Well, he still didn't have
What is he doing? He's just going to leave the Big Game Hunter up? That's crazy. Or he's just going to leave the Dr. Boom up? That's crazy. You know, after a long day of casting Hearthstone, sometimes your eyes just gloss over the most inconspicuous of things.
We've been here for about 7 hours now, bringing these games to you all day long, and we got 2 more days to go.
2 more days to go.
And they'll be even longer.
And hopefully we'll see even crazier things as we get further into the tournament. There's always that one guy that sneaks into an open tournament that has the most ridiculous decks that makes it to like the top 8. That's the guy that I'm looking forward to. I'm looking for the Sam Stock who refined his decks a little bit more and just made it all the way there. That's what I'm looking for.
I want a combination of all the crazy we've seen today. I want the Sam Stock combined
with Toaster.
With Toaster. We need the fine mix of all of them.
Yeah. Well, Kolento's actually getting pretty close to piecing together a lethal here. He's got 3 plus 6, 10 damage from hand. He's got 13 from hand. He could power bomb his Dark Bomb and go for a lethal opportunity.
Yeah, if that Boombot hit face for 4, he has lethal here.
Does it make it any more? Does he trade in the 2 imps to make it any more likely? He could guarantee that the Dark Bomb goes face. No, he'd have to.
Yeah, I think I like trading in the Boombot still, though, because if you just hit Jin, your opponent's dead. And the Boombot, if it misses face, still does some significant work. Now, the problem with that is if it hits for like 1, you may be regretting trading in the Boombot at that point. So I'm guessing he's going to make a safe play here. Just power overwhelming attack, play a threat down, and then just continue to hit face.
Yeah. Playing safe, still good. Radlak is still at a low health total. Kolento is okay with playing the long game because he knows that he can still outvalue his opponent. He doesn't have to go in the plan of just killing him.
Yep.
And Fierce Monkey, yeah, this is a very minion-heavy deck. Very interesting to see.
Mech Warper's going to reduce that anti-Keel bot, and that is critical.
Whoa! Is there any other mechs that are running this deck? He's already played a Piloted Shredder.
That's actually kind of funny. The Piloted Shredder is the other mech. A mech driving a mech. That's like a self-driving car. I don't trust those things.
We'll learn to trust him one day. As will we all.
I don't trust machines. Haven't you seen Terminator, man?
Only cheeseburgers.
Oh, come on. I don't even like cheeseburgers.
They're not American.
I like ribeyes.
Well, there you go. Same thing, really.
I don't eat bad food. I just eat too much of it.
Yeah.
Which is likely worse. Like, if I just ate less food but also ate bad food to replace it, I'd probably be thin.
Yeah.
Just don't eat as much.
What's better, 5 pounds of broccoli or a cheeseburger? Probably a cheeseburger.
Well, come on, let's not get crazy. 5 pounds of broccoli! There's no way you're eating that much broccoli in one day.
Oh, man. Well, Kolento still pushing some damage. Radlak keeping in the game just a little bit, though. He's still got to find a way to fight back. Archsthief for Fawn. What does he pick up? An Execute. So much removal, but not too much to use it on. He could clear out that Twilight Drake even without trying that Execute.
Yeah, pretty standard stuff from Kolento. Just seeing if the Boombot pulls extra weight, has to use Dark Bomb to develop his board. Radlak's side. I mean, this Twilight Drake has to have kind of a target on its forehead. The problem is, this is like what we've seen in so many of the Control Warrior versus Reno Warlock matchups, is that the Warriors just expend stuff turn after turn after turn, and eventually the Reno Warlock just sticks something to the board and it starts hitting. Now, the Justicar can effectively negate a lot of this damage. Like, if he plays Justicar, just tanks up and then shield slams, he's gaining 4 armor a turn, while Kolento's only got 3 damage a turn sitting on board. So the Hellfire can clear that up and activate the egg, but is that the way he wants to play that? I don't think so. He'd probably end up trading and playing a Sludge Belcher, or maybe just playing a Sludge Belcher into it. But the kind of the bigger picture here is that Kolento's life tapping instead of gaining life. And so his extra cards are going to yield damage as a result of that.
Yeah. So he is going to take it out. Ooh, Doomsayer drawn. Okay. So he can kill off his own stuff here and push damage with Hellfire. But I feel like there's going to be a better place somewhere in there. I can imagine a tap first.
Yeah, I mean, I think tapping is definitely on the menu here. I'm curious if trading and then playing Doomsayer is like a reasonable play here. Like, you'd guarantee himself getting back initiative and get something out of the egg. The problem with that is that Radlak's only got 3 cards left, and he's going into a 4th card. So it's like, do you need to snag tempo back? I mean, there's a chance your opponent just doesn't really have anything.
Mm-hmm. I'm surprised he hasn't tapped yet to evaluate.
Well, he's thinking about his curve, I think, a little bit here. So if he's attacking first, I imagine this is Hellfire into Sludge Belcher or Reno.
Yeah. All right, Reno Jackson it is. Puts more power on the board immediately. And, you're not worried about... It's not a combo deck. You're not worried about being comboed out after playing Reno. So I like this play. And Despite is going to be able to fight back, but he's going to be taking a lot of damage. He's going to be taking damage on the backswing of this. Kolento can protect the Reno Jackson with the Sludge Belcher. So, still looking grim. Radlak might be regretting taking so much damage early on in the game by attacking minions so recklessly.
Yeah, I don't really know if he had much of a choice, honestly. I mean, it's just kind of the options that were presented to him. He's going to bash here to try to avoid any sort of crazy lethal that Kolento might have. Like, maybe he's anticipating Leroy or something and thinks if he lives for just another couple turns, maybe he can get past this. It also sets it up for the Despite next turn. Like, next turn you can attack the Reno Jackson, execute the other threat he plays, and play Arc Thief for Palm with it.
Yeah.
I think the story here is that Kolento's just got too much card economy working for him, though.
Yeah. And imagine he just protect this. He saw the preemptive bash, Marino. So I'd imagine he'd just go ahead and play the Sludge Belcher just to protect it.
Yeah, I mean, execute looks awful here.
Awfully awful.
Big Game Hunter's no help. I think this is Arc Thief.
What do you even pick? You haven't even seen much AoE. You've only seen Hellfire, so you can't pick the mummies. You don't know if you're going to have a board left. You're probably not. So you might pick the... what's the Avenging Wrath one called?
Timepiece.
Timepiece. Timepiece.
If he doesn't execute here, he's actually kind of just dying.
Yeah, that's also true.
Yeah, so execute Arc Thief, and takes the timepiece. But boy, is he working on slim pickings.
Probably just played the Sylvanas.
Seems like a good play at this point. Just threaten to take.
Yep. And that way also if he chose the mummies, you just Shadow Flame next turn, steal the Archthief for fun. Even though it'd be at very little amounts of health.
Now, Radlak just kind of... His resources just kind of been ground down at this point.
Yeah.
Gosh, I mean, the Sylvanas is so threatening here. He can't even play anything. Like, if he plays
Shield Main just gets traded in. You play the Timepiece. Your likelihood that your Archdeeper Farm gets stolen too. Not super likely, but there's a good chance. You can trade in the Timepiece and hope. But I think you just gotta attack and armor up.
That would just be hoping for. Demon Wrath's gonna be no help. Kolento getting a little bit low on cards in his deck at this point, but I feel like this is enough to close things out. I mean, I imagine there's a Jiraxis in here. We haven't seen a Faceless Manipulator. We haven't seen Arcane Golem or Leroy Jenkins. We do see an Abusive Sergeant now. So maybe all those cards are just tucked in the bottom of his deck. But I think at this point, this is kind of just more of a standard build. But he does have the Doomsayer in here too. So the Doomsayer to me would kind of spell needing to get the board clear so you have that initiative to set something up and then go into your big damage burst turn. I mean, maybe they're just all at the bottom of the deck. That's a possibility.
Yeah, and that makes this turn a little bit rough just because he has so many utility cards that he doesn't necessarily want to use.
Just trade and play Emperor. It's totally fine.
Yeah, he'd be left with a 7-2 on board, which is actually kind of hard to remove. Since he's seen both bashes, he's seen a lot of removal, shield slams, execute.
Looks like he's going to push instead.
Okay.
Yeah, 7 to Dome and just Emperor. And says, you know what? Deal with it. Boom! Yeah, this is probably an even scarier board than the one Radlak was just facing down.
Oh, wow.
Wow. I wonder if that changes anything. I think he's under too much pressure at this point.
Yeah. Even if he attacks and plays Shield Maiden, he's still under the same threat that he was of, just his stuff getting stolen. And he'd also be very close to just dying. I mean, he can Nefarian, or he can hold on to Nefarian, hope Kolento plays Jiraxis, hope that when he plays Nefarian, he gets Sacrificial Pact. He might want to conceal the Nefarian for future games if he thinks that he's going to lose this one, but he could just let it get stolen and then timepiece. This works too. There's a chance that this stuff doesn't get cleared off. Like the Emperor Thorsan has a decent chance of living through this. At least above a 50% chance.
Oh, that's a lot of missiles to face.
What?
And that's going to do it. Radlak has no way to fend off that damage. That's just some bad luck. But, hey, what can you do?
It always feels like there's less than 10 missiles whenever you play that. But not able to take out a single creature besides the Abusive Sergeant, which is rough. So Kolento's going to take a game up. And that's a pretty brutal loss just because you invest a lot of energy and you invest a lot of thought into that matchup, those long grueling control versus control matchups. And then you lose and you have to start up from square one. And you have to find a win with that same deck that you just lost a long grueling matchup with at some point in the series if you're going to want to move on. So those are the demoralizing losses. Radlak's got to sort of shake that one off and move forward. And now Kolento's Druid, which I'm has a decent matchup against this minion-heavy warrior deck. Maybe not so much as a standard control warrior, because they don't have as many dead cards, I suppose, early on. But still, Druid just does really well against control warrior in general.
Yeah, I mean, the big difference being just the amount of cards that the Druid can draw while also presenting threats on the board at the same time. The fact that Azure Drakes draw extra cards. Dr. Boom usually requires quite a bit of attention. Ancients of Lore pick up 2 cards and present a 5/5. Every single turn, the warrior is just answering everything, while the Druid just continue to play threats and just dig through their deck. You get to a point where the warrior is sitting at a dangerous life total, and every single minion afterwards threatens lethal with Force Nature and Savage Roar. And so it takes the dynamic of a traditional control matchup where life becomes a resource, and it turns it into life being such a precious thing that the warrior can't really execute its game plan. Crow Magus gets drawn into Radlak's hand. We've seen Arc Thief Bomb, we've seen Crow Magus, and we saw Nefarian in here as well. Very top-heavy build with his threats, as well as Gore, Howlfire, Warax, Big Game Hunter. No real action early on for him. This Shade is going to get huge this match, I imagine.
Yeah,
it feels bad, man, X.
That's exactly what it is. Another Living Roots. Okay. This matchup's looking really great for Kolento, I have to say. Especially seeing those opening hands. Just not much in the way of stuff to fight back on the board for Radlak. He's going to need some lower curved minions. Bash doesn't help him much at the moment. Could be good in the near future. Kolento also, though, he needs to pick up some more minions. Having these spells with nothing to use the spells on doesn't feel great.
I feel like time is more on Kolento's side than it is on Radlak's. He's just going to go ahead and play Big Game Hunter here as well. Feels that his end game is enough to continue to combat Druid as long as he can stay on board. And Kolento picks up a Big Game Hunter of his own. It's looking like it's going to be a little bit of a longer one.
I think Kolento really wants to cycle with this Wrath looking at his hand, but he doesn't have a clean way to deal with the Big Game Hunter if he does that. He can just Living Roots hero power and pass over the turn.
Do you make 1/1s?
Oh yeah, he could make 1/1s, yeah.
I'm just going to play this.
Yeah, I really think you need to cycle with this.
Yep. I like the card draw here. If you're going to draw the cards, I also think you make 1/1s in this position.
Yeah. Oh yeah. One of those is going to trade in. If your opponent uses Revenge, he's killing off his own Big Game Hunter anyway, and yeah, smart play.
Warrior turns. This looks like a priest turn. Heal for 2 pass.
Nice.
excellent. That shade just looming right now.
Sweat face.
I think he's going to end up concluding hero power here, but...
Then he will conclude incorrectly.
There is some argument, I think, to innovating out the Druid of the Claw this turn.
I think there's some argument. Taking the swipe and pointing the red arrow at the face.
You've been watching a little too much of
Samstock.
Yeah, Samstock for our last match.
Samstock wouldn't have even hesitated.
I think when he trades here, this is going to be Unleash the Shade and then innovate out the Druid of the Claw. He's just going to hero power, though.
Surprised
I'm
he
really
unleashed the
surprised
Shade.
by this.
He could have had the same outcome as this play, just done one less damage, but kept the Shade stealthed.
Yeah, so
And
this
still
is,
had an extra 1/1.
I think
he was
Kolento's
swiped.
getting this read from the fact that Radlak played Big Game Hunter on turn 3, and to Kolento that said, I don't have Fiery War Axe in my hand.
Yeah.
Because he did nothing on turn 4. He just armored up. So for him to actually have a Deathbite in hand, not a Fiery War Axe, I misspoke. For him to actually have a Deathbite in hand, I think is pretty difficult here. So this is a pretty fantastic read from Kolento, I'd say.
Yeah. Now he's got the option of playing Druid of the Claw or innovating out an Ancient of Lore. He could also play Druid of the Claw and innovate out a hero power in order to take out the slime that comes from the Sludge Belcher. But then he doesn't really have a play for the following turn. He won't be able to play the Ancient of Lore anymore. So
I mean, the fact that the Shade's already done so much work, I think it's fine to just not worry about it. Not worry about the 1/2 slime that much.
yeah.
If it's going to innovate out this Ancient Lore, draw 2 is basically always on the menu for this card. This card economy very high. Easy trade for him. Second Ancient Lore gets picked up too. This is kind of what you see happen very often with the Druid decks. They just continue to draw cards. Warrior has to kind of slowly answer everything, take some damage in the process. No real follow-ups. Oh. One card off. That would have been such a fantastic draw. Last turn.
Oh, man. This is probably the slowest Control Warrior versus mid-range Druid matchup that I've watched in a long time. But Kolento's playing it pretty well, I'd say. Kolento's a player that always likes to take his time in his turns. He always wants to make sure, you talked about it earlier, he's always looking for interesting plays. And he's always trying to make reads, which is the mark of a good player. You never want to rush through your plays. And even in a matchup where you're favored, you want to make sure that you take that favored status and you push it a little bit further. And that's what Kolento does. So he's put himself in a good position right now. And Radlak's just on his back foot. He's been on his back foot since the get-go. Having to play Big Game Hunter early on turn 3 for tempo. Kolento making the reads. And now if Kolento ever draws Big Game Hunter, that's just not going to have an answer. Unless Radlak draws into a brawl, which it seems like he only has one of.
Fierce Monkey not too fierce here. Wow, what a draw. I'll tell you what, the swipe looks good here too. Just keep your board nice and clean. Bash for 5. You know, I would venture to say that Kolento probably wants to have Savage Roars in his hand when he plays this Emperor. And so when he swipes his turn, swipe is just not very good versus Control Warrior. You don't often find opportunities to use it. So hanging on to the Emperor, going into Ancient of Lore on turn 7, and then having extra cards in your hand for when you play the Emperor is totally reasonable here. Now that being said, Radlak's taking a lot of damage, and it's not going to stop. It's just Kolento continues to add threats, draw more cards, and just be a big nuisance. Now there's the Savage Roar to go with it. This game's all Kolento. I don't know if Radlak can even win from this spot.
I don't think he can. He can Shield Maid and armor up here, and then have enough health to survive if there was an innervate combo. And also have enough armor next turn to shield slam something, but I just don't think that there's a way. He can take the risks for this one turn and play like Crow Magus, like attack it and play Crow Magus, because you're never going to be able to play it again. But you just can't afford to do that, and he's just going to try and gain some health, but this, like you said, this one's all but over.
I was just about to say, if he attacks and plays Crow Magus, and he gets a shield block off the draw, I think that is an opportunity to win, because Kolento actually couldn't have cleared the Chromagus this turn. So that might have been Radlak's one opportunity to get into this one. Like, so very often you'll find players in positions where they have to take really big risks to have a chance to win the game. And I think Chromagus might have been the turn to do that, because going into this turn, it looks like Kolento would be dropping Emperor Thaurissan no matter what. So then he gets to duplicate the draw, drop the Shield Maiden, and then Shield Slam this Emperor Thaurissan afterwards. And that would have been actually looking like a pretty good shape, because the Chromagus is a threat. It will just generate a ton of card advantage.
And he would have gotten a shield
block too. I think that Radlak missed that one small opportunity to really win this game. And that is tough to look at.
Yeah. And he is going to be able to survive, though. He's going to be able to put himself out of range. And Justicar Trueheart might give him maybe even another small chance. But at the moment, Kolento just has reduced combo in his hand. If he draws an Innervate, he can go with the ever so scary double Force of Nature Savage Roar, which is a ton of damage. That's 6 Treants. That's 24. What was that? 26 damage from Force of Nature, double Force of Nature Savage Roar.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, gosh, that's a rough turn. I don't know direct answer to this, though.
You can Astro Drake. Maybe pick up something that can answer. Even if he doesn't, he can still play stuff. He can play the Druid of the Claw still. He can play Pile of Sugar plus Hero Power still. So there's a lot of options still left for Kolento.
Nothing gets picked up. It's not too good. I mean, the 6/3 is going to actually get some value this turn unless Kolento decides to Force Nature, which even that I think is some pretty decent value.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just charging the 6/3. Preserve your Azure Drake. Oh, he's going to go face. I like this play. I like going for face here. I really do. So this puts Radlak in his position where he continues to threaten the life total should he want to use the Gorehowl, which the Gorehowl is basically the way he's getting back into the game here. If he was going to get back into the game. So I like the extra pressure here from Kolento.
And this is the turn where Radlak can play the Chromagus and not die to combo.
Unless the combo's discounted. I mean, he knows that Kolento has 6 discounted cards left in his hand.
Yeah. All right. He's going to be able to armor up, bring himself back up to 16. Innervate ends the game. Keep the Vigoro, however, does not.
It does silence that Chromagus, though.
Yeah. But what does he do after that is the question. He can play Loatheb. But that gets both of those get traded into once again. But I don't know if you can allow the Control Warrior to get multiple turns out of a Chromagus, or at least even one turn out of a Chromagus. So I think you have to silence it or deal with it, and silencing seems like the better option. But oh wow, just gonna go for the Dr. Boom and the Power Shredder, load up the board. He's saying, well, you can have one turn of Chromagus, but hopefully I just kill you, so it doesn't even matter. Double Sludge Belcher.
He's facing down so much damage, though. I mean, he doesn't have a way to actually clear off too much of the board, so I mean, the Sludge Belcher definitely does some work here. So Shield Slam on the Dr. Boom. It's 20 life, play the Sludge Belcher. Where does the Chromagus attack?
Face.
He actually might be able to live if he just plays Sludge Belcher. Like, what if he plays 2 Sludge Belchers? Is that ever a possibility here?
That's a lot of attacks that you have to use to get through double Sludge Belcher. A lot of attacks. That's not where you wanted it to go.
Oh my gosh.
That's not where you wanted it to go.
Okay, that one only hits for 1.
All right.
So,
well, I still think that. Wait, can he get through? That's a really awkward. You can keep her 1.
He might be one off lethal. I don't know. Let's take another look. So the play I initially saw was silence, swipe, and savage roar, but that's not enough to push through. You're actually leaving Radlak at 1 HP then. So if you force enter savage roars instead, 4-2, 4. You can't split the damage.
No, silence, swipe, and savage roar does it.
Oh, because the 1 extra damage from swipe. I wasn't counting the extra damage from swipe.
Yeah,
that does do it.
Yeah, so that is going to be it. So a good spot here from you initially. You just second guess yourself. And Kolento as well.
Yeah.
Oh wait, that's
way over lethal.
He can actually get through.
I did this all kinds of wrong. I think I would have missed lethal this turn. Like if I had the full 75 seconds to think about it, I think I would have missed lethal that turn. Good spot from Kolento on that one. That's why he has over $100,000 in cashes.
Yeah, it could be a little bit crazy with the reductions from Thorstein. But that's Kolento taking a 2-0 lead. Only warrior left remaining, and Radlak just can't find a win with that control warrior deck. And now we're going to move into control warrior versus control warrior. And it's going to be Radlak's minion heavy version versus Kolento, who I'm sure is running a more standard removal focused version of the control warrior. So I think the greedier list usually wins out in this scenario.
I mean, Gorehouse certainly does some work in this matchup. The question here to me is, I mean, we've seen a lot of removal from Radlak. He's not necessarily just more minion heavy. I feel like he's a lot less early game oriented and a lot more late game oriented. And that's where he's been struggling, was just in his early game. I mean, he's been getting kind of run over, and just answering, and not really having time to play any of his threats. In this matchup, you typically have time because the one thing the Warriors don't do very well is pressure you.
Yeah. Seems like he doesn't run Revenge. It seems like he only runs one copy of Brawl. No Acolytes of Pains, I don't think. He puts like Fierce Monkeys in that 3 slot instead. But Powdered Shredders.
Ooh, Harrison Jones. I was just about to ask if Harrison Jones was in Kolento's deck. And he knows to say that for Gorehowl. I mean, that's another thing, too, is he's seen so much of Radlak's deck at this point that he knows he can hang on to the Harrison Jones for Gorehowl.
Does he want to draw? Is the thing. And the answer is going to be no. He doesn't want to get the extra draw. So I think that's a smart play. And he knows that fatigue could be a possibility in this scenario.
Yeah, it's a really interesting turn.
Despite over Fiery War Axe. I guess he just wants to be able to answer whatever comes out the next turn.
Here we go. It's going to force the card draws. That's gotta make Kolento pay attention to this point now, because when your opponent makes that kind of play, they obviously have some sort of plan in mind. It's not like they're just attacking your Acolyte, going, "Oh, I could have hit it with Despite. My bad."
My bad.
He's got some, like Radlak has thought of something this game. And so Kolento's going to take his time to figure out exactly what he needs to do to offset that and try to get an advantage from this attack somehow.
Brawl.
This turn.
I'm just throwing options out there. Get rid of your Acolyte of Pain.
I'm thinking more like
Addict. Either way, win-win. Yeah, Sludge Belcher works too.
Fine. We'll play it normally.
Sometimes you just got to play off the wall a little bit, if you know what I'm saying.
Oh, I'm picking up what you're putting down.
I can take the hit.
Shield Maiden looks great on this board. Kolento. Oh, early Justicar is so good in this matchup. That makes Kolento scratch his head. I've never seen any emotion from Kolento.
The biggest reaction you'll ever see from a draw from a single man. And he's going to go ahead and get rid of the Acolyte of Pain. And Justicar True Heart. You still want to play it on an empty board. Not to protect it, but just to... Yeah, I guess to protect it. That's the right way to put it.
I think protecting his Sludge is my favorite thing to do.
This weekend, 128 players will propagate themselves and tank up their way to a potential 10,000. Tanking up.
It's my favorite thing to do.
This weekend, 128 players will propagate themselves and tank up their way to a potential $10,000.
No holds barred tank up match.
The One Nation of Gamers Hearthstone Major live from PAX East.
I'd buy tickets to that.
Sunday, and Friday and Saturday.
I want to see best of 7 tank up matches. Like, you can only play tank up warrior.
Just like hundreds of people hard mulliganing for Justicar Trueheart and Elise Starseeker.
Yeah, pretty tough turn. Like, yep, Harrison Slam. Does draw cards from Harrison, which is a little bit rough on him. Kolento's definitely going to end up drawing a lot more cards than Radlak has this game, but looks like he's also going to have a board presence to couple with that, which means repetitive damage. And if he can keep Radlak's life total from getting out of control, the extra card draws could be enough to continue to solidify that board presence and stay ahead, and make sure that when they get to those mirror match scenarios, that it doesn't get out of control for him. Now, that being said, he does Harrison into a Despite instead of into a Gorehowl. And so, I mean, this is basically Kolento's ticket to launch the assault. I mean, I can't imagine a world where he doesn't play Justicar Trueheart this turn.
Yeah. Gotta start getting those tank ups going.
He's hitting for 6 this turn as well. Plus, threatening 12 more on board. I mean, this is Radlak's going to have to do something to answer this. And we saw him brawl last time there were 3 minions on board. I'm curious if he's thinking the same thing here. Yeah. 2 brawls in hand. Pretty easy one, I'd say.
Yeah, so he does run double brawl. Okay. So, yeah, looking a lot more like the removal version, just cutting out that early game like you mentioned. Also cutting out the cycle, which is a big thing to note. And going to keep grinding away. Artsy for Farm could be a big deal in this matchup. It's going to be tough to say depending on the situation, but he also has Chromagus. He also has, what was the other big bomb that he put in the deck?
Nefarian.
Yeah. So Nefarian could also, it's basically just card advantage as well. You get 2 cards. Those cards could be really impactful. You can get double Shield Maiden. You could get Grom Hellscream. There's lots of things. Oh, no, sorry. You could get spells.
So many
You
damage.
get Shield Slam. You could get Bash. It's getting late. Mine's slipping.
Knees weak, palms are sweaty.
Yeah. Knees weak, brain is sweaty. So Gorehowl still putting in work.
Very clean attacks to this so far. The life total, I'm not sure it matters just yet. Like, I feel like he's right on the verge of it mattering a lot. But he's got so many top-heavy cards in his hand, or in his deck, rather, that I wonder if that's going to be the tiebreaker. I mean, the greedier player in these matchups does often win. It's, like, really easy to just plow out threat after threat and not really worry too much about it.
But yeah, finally finding a big game target. This matchup, it just seems like Kolento is going to have so many dead draws. He's definitely going to be hoping for at least Starseeker pretty early on to sort of fight back on the board. But he knows this deck, and he knows that he's going to have answers for those big threats that Radlak's going to throw out. So maybe he'll even hesitate on the Golden Monkey, just because he needs to have answers. You can't just rely on good legendaries to fight back on the board, because legendaries that you choose to put in your deck are usually better than random ones. So you want to find a good balance between, making sure that you have removal for those big threats.
I think I would have liked to see Radlak not play the Fierce Monkey this turn, just because it's such an easy trade for Kolento.
Yeah.
And Elise gets found too.
Yeah, that Fierce Monkey basically just dies to the Big Game Hunter, which, I mean, I guess you're trading a 3-mana minion for 3-mana minion, but that 3-mana minion also took out your Archdeep for Fawn. So,
Which gave you a timepiece. Advantage Radlak.
Yeah. So Kolento is finding his important cards in this matchup in a pretty timely fashion. He found his Justice card within a reasonable amount of time, and now he found his Elite Star Seeker in a reasonable amount of time. So he's in a good spot. I don't know, this matchup's hard for me to predict because it's just hard to tell whether or not Radlak's going to have the oomph to get over sort of that removal and golden monkey mark.
This is going to attack with his Gorehowl. Play Shield Maiden and keep tanking up.
Mm-hmm.
So Gorehowl at this point has been kind of dwindled away. Yeah, God, Kolento's hand this is looking rough. I mean, he may slam here to not draw a card. But, now he's played Elise. I mean, I've heard this a lot from some players recently, too, where just power cycling to the Elise to the map is a better play than trying to win the long game.
Yeah.
Like, just getting the legendaries early and being able to play them and get stuff out of them puts a lot of pressure on your opponent.
Yeah. Yeah, so just might as well just equip this Fire War Axe. Start getting it out there. Start chipping away at the armor total. But what are both these guys going to do for the next couple turns? They both have just dead hands.
Just going to tank up.
No minions. It's basically just going to be, tank up pass. Acolyte of Pain's dead. Slam's dead. The Executes are dead. The Brawls are dead. You already have a weapon equipped, so Deathspite is dead. Oh, man. Revenge is dead. It's basically just going to be wait for the map. Or wait for a big threat. If you're Radlak.
Keep tanking up. Gosh, I love watching this. I don't know why. Like this is so exciting to me for some reason. I just love watching tank up.
Normally in Hearthstone, as the game goes on, one player gets closer and closer to victory. But in Control Warrior versus Control Warrior, both players get further and further apart from victory. It's a crazy thing.
Ooh.
That's really nice. Allows him to cycle through, puts that golden monkey in his deck, and Dr. Boom!
I don't know. Can he pass up a tank up here, though?
I don't know about that. He's seen one brawl. As far as he knows, Radlak doesn't run a second brawl. He's only seen one at a time. So he could think that Dr. Boom is going to be good here. But also, it's not that threatening. He knows that it's going to get removed because Radlak's been tank up passing. But what else are you going to play it? I mean, it's just like eventually you got to throw it in there.
Variant gets drawn. The problem with the Variant here is that he put 10 cards in his hand, so actually the space in his hand mattering quite a bit here.
Yeah. So I guess what do you even want to pick up from Nefarian? Bash?
It's more just because it's an 8/8. Forces something and you can get spells from it. I still think there's just damage matters. Like being able to just, when you're doing nothing instead to do something, those points of damage eventually add up. And a lot of it comes down to the deck size. So if we could get a glimpse of how many cards are left in each player's deck, that'd be really nice for now. But in the meantime, it's going to be attack with Gorehowl, set Deathspite, and tank up.
He still needs to empty his hand a little bit more if he wants to play Nefarian. Because if he just plays one card a turn, he's going to perpetually be in the same spot.
I mean, he does have to work towards the Nefarian. That's not much of a question about that.
Yeah. You're right. He couldn't pass up the tank up. Absolutely right is what happened last turn. And there's Chromagus. But without a way to cycle, he can't guarantee that he's going to get recurring value from Chromagus or even a single turn of value out of Chromagus or a single card of value. Doesn't even have enough room in his hand to be able to use either Nefarian or Chromagus.
Wow, hanging on to the big game hunter here. This tanks the 7 damage. I don't mind taking the damage here, but I think I'd like to see the big game hunter. I guess he wants to kill the boombots and have big game hunter for a different threat, but how many, outside of Grom, are there really any other threats? I mean, maybe he's holding it in preparation for a big golden monkey play.
Yeah.
Yeah, that seems fine.
Yeah.
Really thinking about the long game potential here. Maybe it's a bit greedy, but
what's the value of the average legendary going to give you? Is it going to be more than that? It doesn't seem like it.
No, you're bound to hit one though.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, if your opponent doesn't have any minions that you hit with
I can take the hit.
with Big Game Hunter off a Golden Monkey, I would venture to say that that's a pretty bad Golden Monkey.
Yeah.
It's a lot of 3/4s and King Muklas and stuff.
Could be a lot of 6/8s.
You can actually even kill stuff if they play King Mukla. You just double banana it.
Yeah. Does have a clean removal here. Radlak doesn't have nearly as much health to work with, but he does have a lot more cards, and he is going to play Crow Magus, so you know he's just throwing it out there to get killed, which doesn't feel great. But what else is he going to do? He can't bait out the removals any other way.
Well, that's the thing about it is that with the way that his deck is constructed, I think he's hoping that he eventually sticks the last threat. Like the Kolento just uses a bunch of removal on threat after threat after threat, and then eventually can stick one to the board.
I don't think he even has enough threats. I mean, we saw Grom, we saw Nefarian, we saw.
Have you seen Elise?
I don't think we've seen Elise from Radlak's deck, which scares me a little bit because if he doesn't have Elise, he's just not going to have a win condition. Kolento can just wait until he's used all his removal on all of this stuff, and eventually he's just going to fill his hand with legendaries. Double Crush?
Those are okay.
Yeah, basically just removal. Single target, hard removal.
Yeah, but I think I'd like to see him swing there with the Fiery Orax as well. He's got a second one in his hand, and he's coming up on a turn where he does need to be aware of his hand size.
Yeah, got to start denting that 71 health eventually.
You do have to still kill him. He has to die some way.
He does. Doesn't feel like it's possible right now, but it does have to happen. There is a chance. What's the maximum turn timer? Is it 50?
I don't know. I've
There's
never
a maximum turn timer.
I've never personally encountered that, as I mostly play Face Hunter and Druid.
It's almost impossible to reach unless you are
Deliberately doing it.
Yeah.
Just execute, no surprise.
Yeah.
And we've breached the 50 armor total now.
Yeah, what if we get to the 100 health mode?
Steel bunker built around Colento's face.
You just have to play timepiece.
You skip a tank up.
Yeah, but you discard a card. You either play Big Game Hunter or you over-equip your Fire War Axe. I guess you can just over-equip your Fire War Axe. And it looks like that's what he's going to do. Timepiece has a bit more value.
So that's the reason I would have liked to see the swing last turn. Is this was so likely to be the case, but
yeah,
a minor loss.
There's the monkey.
I think he's playing it. He's got so many cards left.
Yeah, and he can just sort of tempo Radlak out. He's got so much health to work with. But Radlak has so much removal. Double execute, double shield slam, Big Game Hunter, brawl, double crush.
Yeah, deck size is going to matter a lot here, I think. But the life total matters a lot too. I mean, Colento's, even if he's behind in fatigue, I think he could potentially win this still. Like just from the fatigue war, I mean, not necessarily just from like being able to play stuff and attack.
Yeah.
Let's see if he rips it this turn. I think I'd like to see him use it.
Well, he knows he's tanking up.
Yeah,
I guess he's going to wait a bit longer. Maybe see if a threat's going to come out. Oh, he does have Elise Starseeker. Oh, man. That changes everything. Now it's like who can hold out the longest. Like if you play Golden Monkey first, then your opponent has the removal. So it's such a it's such a I don't even know. It's a back and forth battle here. It's so mind gamesy because they both have hands full of removal. This is going to be crazy. Kolento does have a substantial health lead, though. And does have the Golden Monkey, so has that option a lot sooner than Radlak would. Such a tough play. Like, I don't know if he's statistically more likely to come out on top if he plays Monkey first and just pushes through the removal. He might just wait. I think he has the health total. He could just wait for fatigue. Like you said, deck size matters here. If Kolento's, even or even just a little bit behind on fatigue, he can just go for the fatigue game and just hold on to his monkey until the very last moment.
Yep.
But if he's behind in fatigue by a good amount, it's hard for me to see the decks from this point of view. Then he might have to play the gold monkey. He's actually almost out of cards. So I think he still has an extra turn. Like he still has a draw in it. He has 9 cards, so he has one extra turn to sort of sit and evaluate. He has one extra turn to just tank up and see what Radlak's going to do. But
and that's something to note is that if Radlak's not really doing anything, you are threatening a card burn, which I think has been Kolento's plan for quite some time here.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's better than just having an extra turn to play legendaries.
Yeah. I think he's just worried about the removal, but Kolento realizes that he might not be able to do it, so these legendaries are going to make a big deal. He needs a lot of super impactful ones.
2 Iron Juggernauts.
Oh, man.
Oh, mama. That's a lot of damage.
And an Onyxia. Just our True Heart. He can refresh his tank up.
That's an extra 20 damage that Kolento's going to get. That's a big deal.
That might be...
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
What if Radlak draws, map to the Golden Monkey, and gets the Golden Monkey before the Burrowing Mines hit?
It turns the Burrowing Mines into legendaries.
And Kolento's got 1 card left in his deck. Radlak has
is that how it works? Does it
effectively
turn
5. It has to
the
turn,
mines
right?
into legendaries?
It's a card in your opponent's deck. It's a card in your deck.
Yeah. Wow. So there's a chance that those mines could be completely negated. There's also a chance that he could just draw mines now. And Radlak's going to be forced to brawl. Might as well get the brawls out of the way first, I suppose. And Iron Juggernaut comes away from it. So brawl ends up being a single target removal in that scenario.
Shield slam and Kolento's going to start doing something. Grom is the last card, and he's got a death set up.
Does he feel like he's okay with getting rid of the Death Bite, though? Does he want to wait until something is played from Radlak? There's a Fierce Monkey. He's been paying attention. He knows that there's 2 because Radlak has played 2 in their earlier matchups. But that's a lot of, you have to be paying super close attention to make that type of read. So it looks like, he's going to hold on to it. He's just going to play the Iron Juggernaut. Radlak's like, oh, man, that's not good. 2 Burrowing Mines in his deck. I don't know how many cards he has left, but that has to be pretty likely for him to draw it.
That one's no good.
That's 7 cards. Yeah, that's why Kolento went ahead and played the Golden Monkey. He realized he was too far behind in fatigue. He has to keep these legendaries going if he wants a chance to win this game. He's got a huge life total. The life total doesn't matter if all of his stuff is just going to keep getting removed. I just don't know if he's going to be able to do it. Radlak still has Big Game Hunter. He still has Timepiece. He still has Shield Slam. Both executes and a Crush. And who knows if he has any more removals still left in his deck. But no matter what he has, and you have to think 2 of those 7 cards are Burrowing Mines, so pretty inconsequential. And Shield Box, at this stage in the game, you don't really want to use them because you'll gain 5 health to get yourself closer to fatigue and potentially deal 10 damage to yourself. So those are dead cards, but
I don't know how Kolento wins this game. I really don't. I mean, I guess it starts right here in the hope. There's just no way that this is getting through more than 10 damage, so I'm just going to actually remove with it.
He just doesn't have a way to deal recurring damage. He doesn't have a Malorn. He doesn't have an Anubarak. He just doesn't have sort of those infinite cycled legendaries. He doesn't have any super impactful ones either. Even like a Deathwing, I guess, for like an emergency scenario. He just uses only instant burst card, so... Oh, man. That's not what you want to see. Looking pretty grim.
Forced to use Death Bite at this point. Oh, and no legendary this turn other than the Tink Master. Radlak draws. Dr. Boom. They all look good at this point.
Oh my goodness.
Half of his deck is burrowing mines right now.
And the other half, he's got 2 burrowing mines, a map.
And a second brawl?
No, he's used both brawls.
He's used both? Okay.
Yeah. I don't know what the last card is.
Yeah, I don't think Kolento wins this. I think he drew too many cards this game.
Yeah, there's absolutely no way. Too far behind on fatigue. That health total is not going to last long once he starts getting into those fatigue turns.
Yeah, it's going to be an Ixia here. Oh, there's the first burrowing mine. Drawn to the second one in a row.
Nope.
Oh. Wait.
There's the map.
I think you go for the map.
Yeah.
And convert that burrowing mine into a legendary instead.
You either draw the burrowing mine. You draw the burrowing mine from the map. Might as well get it out of the way now.
It's like a band-aid. Just right off.
Yeah. He's got plenty of removal. What's it going to be? All right, it's a Sludge Belcher.
There you go. Wait. I was going to think this one over for a bit. I do like Shield Slam on the Onyxia, I think.
Yeah.
It looks like he wants to execute, though. I don't mind the execute either, because the execute, that's like one of the cards that could potentially be dead in your hand.
Yeah. You need something damage in order to do it. And pushing this 7 base damage, and Kolento's just going to get pushed out of this game. No way for him to win with the cards that he has. And he goes ahead and concedes an hour later. I don't know how many take-ups we saw in that match, but I don't think I want to see any more. But Kolento's still got to find a way to win with the Control Warrior.
Bring him on.
Yeah, Radlak has Shaman left and Warlock left, but we've seen a lot of Warlocks today. I can't quite remember which one Radlak was playing. We did see him play earlier, but having trouble calling it.
I believe it was a Zoo build.
Okay.
No, I was wrong. This is the one it was. It was the Malagos version.
Yeah.
It was his opponent that I think that was playing Zoo. Toaster was playing Zoo, I believe.
Yeah, Malagos Warlock.
Yeah, so here we go. This matchup kind of an interesting one, where if the Malagos Warlock can keep pressure and get to a very clean Emperor turn with Malagos and lots of burn spells in hand, they can really deliver that damage that they need to win this game. But if it goes too long, there's a point where Kolento can reach those armor totals where Radlak just won't have the damage to kill him.
Yeah. I said this earlier. It's sort of like a mid-range deck, the Malagos Warlock. Sort of like Druid, but with a lot more dead cards than Druid and a lot less consistent of a combo. So you have a few things that make it a little bit better. Like against super control decks, the inevitability is always there because you can go through taunts and things like that, and the maximum potential damage is quite a bit more. But you sacrifice the consistency of the deck. And like you said, if you can play those Twilight Drakes, if those Twilight Drakes stick, if those Azure Drakes stick, if those Blackwing Corruptors stick, and you can get that chip damage in, and you can close the game out before those armor totals get too high, then yeah, I tend to agree. I think that this matchup can go in favor of the Malagos Warlock, but it's all about that mid game, I feel. It's all about that mid game.
Wow, I'm really surprised that Radlak chose not to Corruption his Acolyte this turn. I mean, the Warriors' card economy is going to struggle versus Life Tap and just efficient minions this game. So one of the ways he can stay in with it is just by drawing cards from Acolyte. Now, that being said, he does have a Twilight Drake, which is obviously contesting Acolyte pretty well. So a little bit of an interesting play there. I think I would have gone for Corruption, but I don't blame him for holding on to it, looking for a bigger target with that.
Yeah. But Kolento's coming out pretty well too.
Yeah, this is another thing that the Warriors kind of free to do in this matchup. They know that it's Malagos, is they can kind of extend to the board and just push for damage.
Yeah.
Get a big enough of a lead, you can very easily keep it.
And Radlak's cycling through
two
double
Soulfire.
Huh. It's not a common inclusion, but this deck has not been common. Because he didn't play 2 Dark Pillars, right? He only played 1 and got the corruption from it. Or did he get the second Soulfire from a Dark Peddler?
Nope, that's two Soulfire. It's two natural
Two
Soulfires.
Soulfires. All right. Well, we'll see if that's going to work out for him. It makes his potential burst quite a bit higher because if an Emperor Thorsan comes down, that means both are 0 mana. But it feels like it's going to be hard for that to happen.
Yeah, really tough spot here for Kolento. I mean, nothing clean this turn. Like punch face and play a Shield Maiden. Yeah, maybe he's thinking about revenge.
Mm-hmm. Draw a card, evaluate from there. Revenge doesn't really, if he doesn't draw into like a removal though, the revenge doesn't really do too much. Basically just allows him to draw. And it looks like he is just going to armor up and punch face. Maybe hope that Radlak extends onto the board, gives Kolento a better brawl.
Yeah, Sludge Belcher's going to do very nicely here.
Yeah. And this is that mid-range board where we were talking about. And with 2 brawls, I don't know if you're going to get much better for the first one here.
Well, the big problem with this is if he doesn't brawl this turn, there's a threat of Loatheb from Radlak. And, you know, I mean, maybe the Doctor Boom just looks better overall, but a lot of the Malagos Warlock builds, they run 2 copies of a big Game Hunter in their builds.
Yeah.
Big Azure Drake. I'm sorry, big Twilight Drake lives.
Yeah, it's not what he wanted to see. Worst outcome there, especially since now he just doesn't have a way to deal with it. So it's going to keep getting recurring damage. It's going to knock off the armor as well. So Radlak's sitting in a good spot.
Brand Coin Loatheb does not look too bad here.
Basically locking out all spells and also pushing quite a bit of damage. You're starting to get close even without Malagos with the double Soulfire.
Goes with the Earth Ring instead. That's going to almost certainly be a second brawl from Kolento at this point.
Yeah. I'd say so. Harrison Jones doesn't get too much value in this matchup. Draxus is not a card that you run.
Yeah, if he'd played the Loatheb, he would have been able to follow with Azure Drake and Earthring Farseer the turn after as well.
Yeah.
And also potentially just trade your stuff into whatever Kolento had played this turn. Like, say Dr. Boom was on the menu instead, because he wouldn't have access to spells, or even just Shield Maid at that point. And instead, second brawl. And you can see him kind of really, really affecting him on that one. He's like I didn't expect second brawl. And the brand does live, though.
Huh.
This is very likely to force another spell from Kolento here.
You really want to use a Shield Slam or a Revenge? I guess Revenge doesn't have much in this matchup. So I think he could part ways with a Revenge, but just to kill off a Pran, you're giving up so much card advantage over to Radlak if you do that. And that means you won't have Revenge to... Oh, looks like he's going to do it. That feels pretty painful. He was hoping for something that he could kill a lot easier than that to come out of that brawl. But now Radlak is free to just flood the board. Not that he can so much this turn, but Emperor is going to unlock so much damage if he draws into it.
Yeah, I mean, leaving the brand up is just so scary. I mean, your opponent has access to Corruptors for 6, Azure Drake for 2 cards. Just so much good stuff.
Well,
a little bit surprised by that one. It's the second time we've seen Radlak play a Temple BGH, though, so it's something he's clearly not afraid to do. And if you're in Kolento's spot and you've seen your opponent draw this many cards and they just play a big Game Hunter, are you thinking to yourself, maybe he just has a second one and that's why he did this?
I guess so. It could be a possibility. But maybe he just doesn't think that a 7 attack is a good choice for Kolento going into the next turns. Maybe he doesn't think it's a possibility. I'm not sure. Radlak could, if Kolento doesn't armor up this turn, could potentially draw into like lethal with that 1 spell power on board. If he draws into a Dark Bomb, that'd be, 18 damage from hand with 8 on the board would be 26. So maybe he's thinking if he needs to start applying pressure. And Kolento just looks scared, yeah.
Okay, definitely need to respect the Azure Drake, no question about that. Wow, shield slamming the big game hunter. That feels like a great trade for Radlak.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
Okay.
another Azure Drake, why not?
Yeah. They can coin out a 5-drop as well. Azure Drake will get him closer to Emperor Thorsan, which is what he needs to unlock so much burst damage. I feel like he's done a good job of sort of keeping Kolento in check with the health total. Not letting that get out of control. Still making sure that he's going to have room to be able to close out the game with Malagos. Zombie Chow. Not really what you want to see.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's going to be coin 5-drop. Which 5-drop, though? I mean, does he just take the damage here, or does he play the Lothab? I mean, Lothab feels like it's still pretty decent here. Yeah, this is going to open him to execute and Dr. Boom this turn now, which I'm still not certain that Kolento feels comfortable playing Dr. Boom here. I mean, you saw tempo BGH. I'm guessing this would be a turn where you probably have to go. You have to go for something. And Dr. Boom is just—it's not even that bad into BGH. Like, you're still gonna have boom bots left over with, so this just has to be the play. And Lothab actually would have prevented this from Radlak. But now he actually doesn't have an answer to Dr. Boom. Like, he does not have a second BGH in his hand. I think Kolento is anticipating a second BGH even.
Yeah, I'm not sure why Radlak is so hesitant to throw out to not so hesitant to throw out to Lothab. There's been actually a couple good turns now. We could have seen the Bran Lothab turn earlier to protect his board and lock out that brawl. Last turn we could have seen that Lothab to maybe he didn't want to get thrown into the Despite, but that would have mean he would have had 1 minion stick on the board, or Kolento would have had to spend his entire turn removing it, which would have given initiative to play the Blackwing Corruptor the following turn if he wanted to do that. So I don't know. What is he waiting for with this Lothab? It just feels like it's getting worse and worse. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's a specific swing play that he's waiting for where he's going to plop the Lothab down along with it. But
it looks like now he's going to eat 7 damage at least. Unless he draws a big game hunter.
yeah.
I mean, I guess he gets Soulfire along with it, but then he risks discarding the... Oh, he's going to Soulfire.
Uh-oh. This could be a big discard. Okay, Dark Bomb is...
Still bad to lose.
Yeah, he wanted to lose anything but Malagos plus the burn spells. I mean, I guess he still has Hellfire, but Hellfire, unless you get multiple turns from Emperor Thorsan, cannot be comboed with Malagos.
Yeah, now Kolento is going to start generating an advantage off of this. I mean, the tables have turned at this point. Now Kolento's the one in the lead.
Yeah, and he's got minions to follow this up. Radlak's used Bran Bronzebeard, so look, Bran Heal Bot is not a thing anymore. And Radlak's win condition has been sort of cut in half. And so many dead cards now. Look at this. Lothab just gets traded into. The effect is pretty much lost. You can play Corruption and tap. You can tap, play Corruption, and wait a turn. But you're taking an extra 5 damage. Still hasn't found the Emperor Thorsan. But now that his 2 of his burn spells are gone, Emperor Thorsan doesn't even do much anymore. He could, make his Soulfire cost 0 so that we can fit in an Iron Beak. I don't even know. Don't even know.
Yeah, but at this point, his life tap is giving him the second card he needs to answer stuff, but his resources are dwindling out. And so this was all kind of happened because he forewent the Lothab for 2 turns. He had 2 opportunities to protect himself from tempo swings and didn't take either of them. And like you said, the effect is just lost now. And when you lose the Lothab effect, the reason you put it in there is so you can get the Lothab effect, not because it's a 5/5. If you just wanted a really good 5/5, Stranglethorn Tiger is much better. But now it doesn't do anything, and Kolento just is going to continue to take over the board. He knows that Radlak doesn't have BGH in his hand unless he's drawn it in his last 2 draws, or last 1 draw now at this point because one of these was anti-Keelbot. I mean, there's no way he's going to go Corrupt or Soulfire on the Dr. Boom over BGH it. So the Grom might even be on the menu right now. Yeah, this is just another read from Kolento.
He saw how much he struggled to remove his Dr. Boom. He's only drawn 2 cards since then, and one of the cards that he drew, he played onto the board, which was the anti-kill bot. So he knows that there's a very small chance that Radlak picks up anything that can deal with this Grom Hell Screen. There is an Iron Beak Owl.
Iron Beak Owl is
it takes away the 10 attack, which is pretty crucial, but it doesn't take away the body, which 4 attack over multiple turns is still a big deal.
Yeah, looks like he's going to Hellfire Mortal Coil. This is a lot of damage to take, and Kolento's not slowing down. He's just got more minions in hand.
Yeah.
Woo! This is getting painful.
Yeah. And Kolento's nowhere near dying, and it's been through a lot of this mid-range stuff. There's second Dark Bomb. But now the maximum potential burst is Soulfire for 9 and Dark Bomb for 8, which is only 17 burst from hand with Malagos, which seems like a lot still, but against a control war, it's not enough. So Radlak realizes this. He says, I'm going to have to win the old-fashioned way by fighting for board. And I just don't know if that's going to work out.
Yeah, Acolyte of Pain now. Kolento going to be able to fight back with his own card economy. Just Radlak having so many utility cards. I mean, Iricel answers, quote-unquote, the Acolyte of Pain here, but Kolento's just, he's built a life lead. Second Twilight Guardian is going to be a big help, though. I mean, Kolento is low on resources. So that's the one thing I think Radlak can take away from this, is that he might be able to still fight for the board and have enough left over that he can end the game before he just runs out of cards.
And it could get to a point eventually where Radlak's just able to play Malagos. Once enough removal has been expended, he can just play Malagos. Like, if he sees that second Shield Slam, and he sees Kolento start to trade into the stuff that's on the board, just play it. You know, get that recurring 4 damage. You're not going to really use it for the spell damage anymore. You might as well just throw it down there and use the big body to your advantage. So we'll see how greedy Kolento's feeling with that removal. But I can imagine that it's going to feel pretty good to just get that Twilight Guardian out of the way with a Shield Slam.
Yeah, it's still pretty tough. I mean, if he overcommits to, you can still very easily run it to like second Hellfire and lose the rest of it, which is the last thing that he wants to happen right now, is to commit to the board and then have it all lost.
Yeah. He could also just bash the Iron Beak Owl and trade into 1. So that way he sort of isolates the second Twilight Guardian onto the board. And then he wouldn't have enough damage, though, to finish that last Twilight Guardian off. So he's going to play it patient, play it smart. Hold on to the Shield Slam for now. Doesn't want to be in a situation where... Ooh, Bloodsoul Corsair. I don't know if there's any weapons left. I don't know if he's been keeping track.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Jouster.
I haven't been keeping track, so I don't know. After a long day of play, it's a lot harder to keep track, I'll tell you that much.
Yes, it is.
Finally, Lothebs. He begins his assault. Kolento's out of brawls, and he's pretty much out of options, too. I mean, this still looks like it's going to end up being enough to get it done. Does get actually some decent effect here from Lotheb, but...
Alright, well, there's the Shield Slam. So that's sort of the go-ahead for Radlak.
Yeah, I mean, I think Malagos might just hit the board this turn.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe not.
Yeah, Emperor Thorsan. Might as well just wait till the last possible minute. And now he could still use it for
one card left.
Oh, that's a bold call, but you know,
giddy up.
He's a bold guy. Seems. That's really dangerous, actually. Tapping like that, getting yourself closer to fatigue. You're at 7 health.
Just gonna play the Bloodsoul Corsair. It looks like.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, not going to play it. Oh, that's a very welcome draw for Kolento right now.
He can slam, execute, and bash the and just scar Trueheart. Wow. This is going to be close. I don't know if...
I think you just bash the...
Bash the Emperor Thorsan, yeah. You need to execute with Malagos.
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly a thought in his mind right now. Like, bash and then play the Harrison Jones.
Yeah. That's true. He's almost out of cards, which means that he's only got probably a couple threats left. One of those is Malagos. You're right. I feel like you need to play... need to save that execute. Bashing off the zombie child really doesn't accomplish anything. You gain, 8 health, but in the long run, that's not that much, especially since the zombie child's only doing a couple. And Malagos could present a much bigger threat than that. We'll see what Kolento decides, but especially after drawing that Justicar Trueheart, knowing that he's going to have extra health gain during the next couple turns.
I wonder if he's even considering that, just Justicar and tank up. And then nothing's going to happen. There's the execute.
All right. Well, he knows that. Maybe he thinks that there's no more burn left, so that Malagos will basically just be a 4/12. Maybe he thinks that there's not a second Soulfire. So he's out of cards. What is the last card?
Oh, you know what? That's a really good point. I bet he thinks there's not a second Soulfire in here, which is why he made this play. He's tracked a Hellfire. He's tracked 2 Dark Bombs. He's tracked the Soulfire that's happened. Unless a Soulfire was grabbed from Dark Peddler, which that Corruption has been in hand the whole game.
Yeah. So will Kolento have enough? He's going to be, after Justicar Trueheart's play, he's going to be gaining 4 health a turn. And even with all of Radlak's minions on the board, he's only going to be dealing 12, 13 damage a turn, so it would effectively be 9. And he's got Healbot, but he's going to be fatiguing next turn. He can't use Hellfire either, because Hellfire will deal 8 damage to his own face.
That's a good point.
So
that's something else I'm certain that Kolento thought about with the Malagos, is that if he Hellfires, it's actually a draw instead of a win.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think this turn's just Justicar. Got to get that out. Got to start tanking up. He's going to go to 43 health after this. So we'll see if Radlak can piece together enough, but I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be enough. He's got to heal bot and just hope for the best.
It's 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, plus 9, 26 damage only this turn. If he casts everything.
Does he have lethal next turn? No, he won't. He won't have lethal next turn. So that's 2 more turns for Kolento. And he's going to be taking damage off the board as well. So that's going to be even less time that he has.
Yep.
So he's going to trade this in. So the corruption's not going to matter. I think Radlak's just going to... And if he plays... He has to play them at the same time.
That's a dead card right now.
Yeah.
Unless Kolento does Kolento have an execute left?
I don't think so. I think he's used both.
Hey, Deathbite's got to be welcome right now.
Yeah.
Just anything to remove consistent or continuing damage from the board.
Yeah.
I wonder if he can go that actually.
With face, so he's taking 2 fatigue damage next turn, so he could force it so that Hellfire would be a draw no matter what. If he uses Hellfire to kill him, it'd be a draw no matter what. But he is just going to take off that recurring damage. He's going to be eating 4 health a turn. There's 7 damage on the board, so effectively Radlak's only doing 3 damage a turn.
Yeah, I think Kolento locked this up, honestly.
Yeah, I think he did.
Like, didn't need execute for the Mal'Ganis, and I think this is everything that he was thinking about on that turn. Like, this had to have been calculated at some point. Like, Kolento's like, if I just draw 1 answer, I'm going to be able to live.
Yeah, and he's got a bash, so...
Just revenge, attack face, and tank up. You take care of the last remaining threats. You have bash in your hand. Play Harrison Jones.
Yeah. Barf your hand, tank up. Twirl around in your chair.
Yeah, doesn't even need to use revenge if he doesn't want to. I mean, he's got so many different ways to not die. All he has to do is present an obstacle. 4, 5, 6, 7 plus 8, 15 plus 9, 24 damage. Yep, still a little bit off. It looks like Radlak's going to just go for it here and end the game in Kolento's favor. Kolento's going to take this series 3-1. What a grueling battle this one was.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, the patient play from Kolento ended up paying off. I think in the Warrior game is really the only spot where I felt like I had kind of an issue with what Kolento did. He ended up drawing too many cards, and what would have otherwise, I think, been a pretty easy win for him turned into a pretty convincing loss. And outside of that, though, playing the match very fantastic. So Radlak catching that in game number 3 as well, attacking the Acolyte with the 1-3 into the 1-3, just forcing Kolento to draw a card, I think, was a big difference in that single game.
Yeah, and that was over an hour and a half long series for a 3-1. So that was pretty crazy. And Kolento moving on to the round 64. We'll see him play tomorrow. But that was the last match of the day. So we are now officially done for the first day of the Hearthstone PAX East Major. So we have 2 more days to go, Saturday and Sunday. left remaining, so lots to go. Make sure, once again, you guys, we're still doing the Cyber Power PC giveaway. Head over to geico.onog.gg or click the link down below on the stream page in order to head to that website and enter in to win. Also, keep in mind, the next One Nation of Gamers 2016 Circuit Open happens in just a week's time, so on the 30th of April. So if you want to sign up for that, also head to that same website. So lots of exciting stuff still to come throughout the rest of the weekend and throughout the rest of the summer for One Nation of Gamers. But that's admirable. We've had a fun day. Do you have any closing words that you'd like to give before we close it out for the day in preparation for tomorrow?
Thanks for everyone for joining us. Make sure you tune in tomorrow and on Sunday. We're going to crown a champion this weekend. 43 Hearthstone Championship Tour points up for grabs, and still a lot of great players left in this field. You're not going to want to miss it.
Yeah, we want to give a big shout out to the sponsors that made this possible. GEICO Gaming, of course, the title sponsor, and then Video Game Voters Network. Also, Cyber Power PC and DX Razer, and Asus Republic Gamers for providing the hardware at PAX East for these players to be able to compete in this tournament. Also, we'd like to give a big shout out to all you guys for tuning in today. We hope to see you back tomorrow. We will return at, I believe, 10:30 EDT, which is 7:30 PDT. So make sure you guys tune in tomorrow. Lots of stuff to look forward to. Thanks for watching once again, guys. Everybody here at the Hearthstone Major, presented by One Nation of Gamers. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.